Okay. This lesson is the beginning of Unit 5, Systems of Equations, and we're doing graphing. On number 1, I've already worked it out. You have to solve both of them for y. So draw your line, get y by itself, and then you graph both lines over on your graph. Graph both lines, and they intersect at 3, 1. So that's the answer to number 1. They intersect at 3, 1. If you need more time to write this down, then pause this video and restart it after you've done that. Okay, number 2. We've already worked out the first one, so we've drawn our line and solved for y. We got y equals 3 minus 3 over 2x. Okay, let's pick up on this next one. Katie, help me with this one.
Draw your line and then the other side of the line.
Okay, divide by 4. And so we're going to have our y equals, what's 12 divided by 4? 3. What happens with 6 over 4?
3 over 2.
Very good. You reduce it to 3 over 2. So without your calculator, those are both even numbers. So they divide by 2. They divide by 2. Okay, Josh, how do I graph that on the graph? Oh, it's not in here. Tyler, how do I graph that one?
You would start at positive.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yep. These are the same line. These are the exact same line. How many times do these cross? Ah, Lee said exactly right. It's infinitely many. Infinity means forever. So write that down, infinitely many. All right, infinitely many. They cross all the time. Does everybody have that written on their paper? Thank you. All right, number 3, 6x minus 2y equals 4. Negative 3x plus y equals 4. Odessa, help me with the first one. Minus what? What are we trying to get by itself? Minus 6x. And what else do you have to do, Odessa? Divide it by what? Divide it by what? Negative 2. All right, Odessa, without a calculator, 4 divided by negative 2. Negative 2. And then a negative over a negative? Positive. And what's 6 divided by 2? 3. Okay. Kayla, how do I graph that? The one without the x is your starting value. So you start at negative 2. And then you do what? And? Put a 1 underneath it. Good. Go up 3 and over 1. Okay. All right, Jake, help me with this bottom one. Good. I'm going to skip that step because it's positive 1, which doesn't affect anything. So I'm just going to do 4 plus 3x, and I'm not going to do divide by 1 because I'm going to get the same answer. Colton, how would you graph that?
You go down, you go up 4. Down 3.
Okay. Is it positive or negative?
You go up 3.
All right, guys, what do you notice about those two lines? They're parallel and they don't intersect. Very good. They're parallel, they don't intersect. This one is no solution. Write that down, please. No solution. That's the symbol for no solution if you hate to write. That's the symbol for no solution. So to wrap up, there's 3 types of solutions. What was the first solution we got on number 1? What was the first solution we got on number 1? On number 1, what did we get? 3, 1. So that's a point. Okay, so you could have a point for your solution. Okay, you could have a point for your solution. What did we get for the solution for number 2? So sometimes that's the answer. Infinitely many. When do you get that answer? When they're the exact same line. And what do we get for the solution for number 3? No solution. And when does that happen? When they're parallel. When they don't intersect. Okay. There's multiple ways to solve systems. Today we're going to do graphing. And then on Monday we'll learn some other ways. So today we're doing graphing to solve. Okay. All right. Number 1, what is the solution to the system of linear equations that is graphed on the following coordinate plane? Circle solution. That's the key word on this one. Circle solution. Solution is where the 2 lines intersect, where the 2 lines cross. They cross right here at the 2. Is that 2 on the X or 2 on the Y? 2 on the X. I'm going to look at all my solutions. I'm going to label them all XY. Which one has a 2 in the X spot? B. Number 2, which point represents the solution of the system of linear equations? On this one, number 2, Lindsay, what's the key word? Solution. Molly, the solution is where they do what? Where's the solution on the graph? Where they what? But which is where? Where they cross, where they intersect. So they intersect right there. That's again at the 2 on the X. 2 on the X. So I need 2 in the X spot. So that marks out A, D, and E. I also need to look at the Y value. The Y is 1. The Y is 1, which is C. Number 3, which point could be the solution of the system of equations graphed? Kayla, what's the key word? Kayla, the solution is where they do what? So right here. It's hard to see, but it's halfway between, so it's actually not -6, it's -5. It's -5, which -6 is not even an answer choice, so they're not going to try to trick you, all right? It's at -5. What answer choices have -5 in the X spot? A and E. And then I need to go over to the Y. Is that +6 or -6? That's +6. That's -6. Okay. Number 4, which point on the graph below is the solution to the following system of linear equations? Lindsay, what am I circling? Solution. Okay, guys, this one's a little different. How many lines are on this graph? 3. You only need 2 of them. You have to decide which 2 you need. You only need 2 of the lines. You're going to actually have to work this one out. You're going to have to work this one out. So we've got 2x plus y equals 2. I'm going to draw my line. What moves to the other side? So it becomes -2x. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look at the graph and figure out which line that is. Which one of these is the y-intercept, the 2 or the -2? The 2. So this is the y. So this line right here passes through the 2. So you might want to use your pencil and like go over it. Make it a little darker. So that's one line I need. Okay, now we have to work out the other one. So I'm going to draw my line. What moves to the other side? So a minus 6x. Odessa, what do you divide by? Good, negative 4. Without a calculator, what's 20 divided by negative 4? Good. And a negative over a negative turns into a? Very good. All right. Which one of these is my y-intercept? So I need the line that goes through negative 5, and I'm going to make that one darker. All right, Raymond, where do those two lines intersect? At what letter? X. They intersect at X, so the answer is B. Answer is B. Any questions on that one? Okay. Number 5. How many solutions are there to the linear system shown in the graph below? Connor, what should I circle? Up here. Solution. Connor, why is it no solution? Because they're parallel and they never what? They never intersect, so it's no solution. Number 6. Which graph represents the following system? Tyler, what am I going to have to do? What's the first thing I see I'm going to have to do right here? So Tyler, what moves to the other side? Very good. And that's all you have to do on that one. That's all you have to do. So guys, on the first one, what is my y-intercept on that first line? Very good. What is my y-intercept on the second one? Right here. What's my y-intercept? 2. So the first thing I'm going to do, I think the easiest thing to do is to see which graph goes through negative 2 and positive 2. I have to go through both of them, 2 separate lines. Does A go through positive 2 and negative 2? Okay. Does B go through positive 2 and negative 2? Does C go through positive 2 and negative 2? What about D? No. So the answer is... Any questions? Raise your hand, please. Number 7, what is the solution to a system whose equations are parallel? Katie. Very good. Parallel is no solution. Number 8, how many solutions does this linear system have? X equals 3, y equals negative 2. Draw a little sketch for me on your paper, even if you've already answered it. Draw a little graph off to the side. Lee, how do you do x equals 3? Good, you put 3 on the x, and what kind of line is it? Vertical, straight up and down. Jake, how do you graph y equals negative 2? What kind of line do you draw? Good. Odessa, how many times do the red, let me change the colors. How many times do the green and the blue line cross? Once. So B is the answer. Exactly 1. Exactly 1. Number 9. How many solutions does this one have? X equals 4, x equals 7. Again, please graph it even if you already chose the answer. Do a little graph for me. Colton, how do you do x equals 4? All right. Very good. Straight up and down. Megan, how do you do x equals 7? Okay, keep going over. And what kind of line? Very good. Raymond, how many solutions does that one have? None. Questions? Okay. All right. Now we're moving on to inequalities. What do you have to do extra on these? You got to shade. What else do you got to do? Yep. You got to flip the sign when you do what? When do you flip the sign? When you divide by negative. There's one other thing you got to do. You got to shade. Sometimes you have to flip the sign. What? Sometimes it's dotted. Sometimes it's dotted. So this one is going to be dotted. If it's missing the line underneath, this one's going to be solid. If it has the line underneath, that makes it solid. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Josh, how do I graph this first one? -2. All right, dotted or solid? All right, Josh, is that a greater than or less than? All right, if I think I'm greater than you, do I think I'm above you or am I below you? Above. I think I'm above you. All right, the next one, Kinley, how do you graph the next one? Okay. Solid or dotted? All right, Kinley, is that a less than or a greater than? All right, if I'm less than you, I am below you. Okay, on these, where the two colors overlap, so in this section right here, this is the solution area. So there's multiple answers. There's multiple answers. Let's pretend this was a multiple choice question. Am I done? Am I done talking yet? All right, hold on, please. -3, -5, 7, -8, and 4, 3. Okay, the question might ask, which is a solution? Which is a solution? Nope, nope, nope. You don't have to write it. Okay? Just look up here for a minute so you know. If it said which is a solution, -4, 1. If I go and plot it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, is it where the two colors overlap? What about -3, -5? Nope. What about 7, -8? Let's pretend that it's way down here. Does it? All right, and what about 4, 3? So 4, 3 would be the answer. No. I'm going to change that to make it definitely wrong, okay? All right, so that would be the answer. All right, Josh, do you have a question? Okay, let me pause. Okay, number 2, x plus y equals, or sorry, is less than or equal to 3, and x is greater than 3. Anna, help me with this top one. All right, Anna, how do you graph that? Okay. Dotted or solid? And Anna, do you shade above or below? Good. Molly, how do you do x is greater than 3? Okay. Dotted or solid? And is it a greater than or a less than sign? Guys, these are the numbers greater than 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's why you're shading over there. Okay? The solution is where they intersect, so it's really just this little triangle right here. Okay, that's where both colors are. Questions? Okay. Number 3, Molly, you just did it. Shannon, help me with the top one. All right, Shannon, what's that going to give you for your y equals? Good. And it's greater than. Okay. Connor, how do I put that on the graph? Dotted or solid? Shade above or below? Anna, how do I do y is greater than 2? Solid or dotted? Anna, do I shade above or below? All right, so once again, guys, this is where both colors are right here. So that is my solution area. All right. All right, number 4. Colton, help me graph the first one.
You go up 2.
Which one's my y-intercept?
Oh, no, you go up 1.
Uh-huh.
And then up 2. And then over 1.
Uh-huh. Solid or dotted?
Solid.
Uh-huh. Shade above or below? Uh-huh. Shannon, help me with the other one. Yep. And how do you shade for that one? Good. Where do both colors overlap? They don't. What do you think the answer to this one would be? No solution. They never overlap. That's the y-intercept. Anybody need more time to write? Okay. All right, we can skip that. All right, which graph shows the solution to 2x plus y is less than or equal to 3? Kinley, what do I need to do first on that? By doing what? Yep, subtract your 2x, okay? And then you're done on that one. So Molly, what is my y-intercept? What's my y-intercept up here? 3. So the first thing we'll do is check the graph and see which ones go through 3. Does A go through 3? Does B? Does C? Does D? Okay, so that didn't help. Is my slope positive or negative? Negative. Is A going up or going down? Is B going up or going down? And we need it to go down 2. Okay, so we need to go down. All right, so we got C and D. What's the only difference between C and D? How they're shaded. So go back up here and look. What kind of symbol is that up at the top? Less than, which means to shade below, which is D. Number 2, which inequality is graphed below? Katie, what do you automatically notice about this? One thing you notice. All right, it's dotted. Katie, are all the answers dotted symbols? Yes, okay, so that was a good observation. Unfortunately, didn't help us with the answer. Lee, what else do you notice about that line? It's on the X. It's on the X. So, Lee, which answers can I mark out? What do these have? C and D. I can mark those out because those are Y. Jake, is this one shaded at greater than 3 or less than 3? So it's A. Right. Number 3, which linear inequality does the following graph represent? Kayla, what's one thing you automatically notice? It's solid. Kayla, are there any answers I can mark out? Very good. You can mark out A and B. You can mark out A and B. Megan, what do I need to do with C and D? What do I need to do with these? So how do I do that? All right, the reason that I'm solving it is because what happens when you divide by a negative? The sign might flip. So you need to just double check, is this sign going to flip? No. So this one is a less than. Where do you shade for less than? Did they shade below? Okay. But you need to work it out to double check that it didn't flip. Okay. Number 4, which point is not a solution of y greater than x plus 4? What do you think? What's one way you could do this one? What do you think? What's one strategy you could use? Yep, you could plug your points in. That's strategy 1. Anybody else know the other strategy you could do on this one? You could graph this, and if it's not a solution, that would mean it's not in the what? What would happen when you graph this? Where would the solutions not be? What else do I have to do to this graph? Where would I shade? Where would the answers not be? Below it. The answers wouldn't be below it. Okay? All right. I like plugging in your answers better. Let's start with A. Which one of these gets plugged in for Y? 10. What gets plugged in for X? Is 10 greater than 4 plus 4? So that one works. Let's try B. What gets plugged in for Y? 8. What goes in for X? Is 8 greater than 3 plus 4? All right, let's test C. What goes in for Y? 7. X is 2 plus 4. Is 7 greater than 2 plus 4? So D is not a solution. D is not a solution. Okay. Questions? Yep, it's not bad. All right, number 5, identify the solution whose graph is shown below. Everybody look up here real quick. Look up at the board, please. What do you notice about all the answer choices? They all have 2x plus 3. What else do you notice? Yes, they do. So they've already been solved. What else do you notice? They all have a 2x plus 3. What else do you notice? Yes. What else do you notice? Okay. Here's what I'm going at. All of these are the same equations. All of these are the same equations. What's the only thing different about them? the solids and dotteds, and which way the sign is. So that's what you have to pay attention to. Where did they shade for this line? Did they shade above it or below it? Above it. And where does this line pass through? What's its y-intercept? Which one? 3. It passes through 3. And they shaded how for the 3? Above it. So let's look at the 3. Is that a shade above? All right, let's go over to this one for the 3. Is that shade above? Yes. Let's go to C. Is this one shade above? And what about D? Okay. All right, this line, where did they shade for it? Above it. And where does it pass through for its y-intercept? At 1. Okay. And they shaded how? Above it. Is that above the 1? Yes. Number 6. The graph below shows the solution to which system of linear inequalities? Josh, what do I need to do first? All right, so let's start with A. Josh, how would you solve the first one? What would you do? Minus your 1x. What else do you have to do, Josh? Yes, you got to divide by -1. Guys, what is going to happen? Very good. The sign is going to flip. Less than or equal to. What's -4 divided by -1?
4.
And -1 divided by -1?
1.
Okay, so let's test this. What's the y-intercept here? 4. This one goes through 4, up 1 and over 1. Should it be solid? And how should you shade? Did they shade below? Okay. Right here. Josh, head up, please. What else do I have to do on this one? Good. What moves to the other side? All right, and that's all you have to do on that one is subtract 1x. Tyler, what's your y-intercept on this one? 6, and you would go down 1 over 1. Tyler, how did they shade for the 6? Below. Is that below? Yes. So A is your answer. Okay. Number 7. All right. This one, let me go ahead and show you a shortcut on this one. If there's an equal sign, do you shade? Did they shade? Okay. What else? Very good. You can mark out C because it also has an equals. Okay. Okay. What is solid? Which line? The one on the X is solid. The one on the X is solid. So is it going to be B or D? Because the one on the X is solid. Number 9. Number 9. Again. Thank you. Number 8. All right. Let me, Raymond, what do you notice about this line? It's solid. What answer choices can I mark out? Good. So I got a 50-50 chance. Lindsay, sorry, go ahead. Lindsay, what do I have to do right here? What do I have to do to that? Yep, so I draw my line. I'm going to minus 1x. Do I have to divide by negative? Do I have to divide by negative right here? No. Does my sign flip? No. So let's test the sign. What kind of sign is that? Greater than, and you shade how? Do they shade above? So B. And number 9. Number 9. All right. All of these have been solved, and they're all solid. That's one thing I noticed. I'm going to start with this top line. What is its y-intercept? Very good, Odessa. 2. It passes through 2. How did they shade for the 2? Below it. So let's look at A. There's the 2. Did they shade below it? I'm sorry, is that a below sign? Let's look at B for the 2. Is that a below sign? What about C? Is that a below sign for the 2? So the answer is D.
Well, you could have went ahead and marked out C because both of them are credit.
Yep.